Welcome to Stocking the Pantry with Hal. It's a series of videos, articles, and my ramblings produced in cooperation with the Defiance-Ruston Senior Center. Our goal is to provide information and resources to help everyone to be better prepared and reduce food waste. So let's get started. All right, today we're going to do another recipe showing you how to use things that you have in your pantry, things that you may have made and stored yourself. For example, applesauce. And then also I've done some articles about freezing eggs. These are fresh, but you could use 2 eggs that you had whisked up and frozen over time if you had a surplus. So the recipe today is oat bran muffins made with applesauce, and you can reduce the amount of sweetener a great deal by using the applesauce. So ingredients that are in it are, of course, oat bran, flour, just a nice general flour, all-purpose. This is a mixture of brown sugar and xylitol, so it's reduced the carb level. And that's just for me, because I'm diabetic. You can use just straight brown sugar. And then it has baking powder, baking soda, salt, and a little bit of cinnamon. I went ahead and put all the spices together. And then, of course, the liquid ingredients. You have the applesauce, the eggs, and a little bit of oil. So we begin by blending together all of the dry ingredients. So the flour, the oat bran, and the sugar, or sugar substitute. So, of course, you're going to want really clean hands and probably put on a kitchen glove. But when you have big clumps, like I had with the sugar and xylitol mixture, there's nothing wrong with getting your hands into it. Think of it like you're kneading bread, but there's no moisture yet. And it allows you to get all those little clumps and totally incorporate the sweetener into the mixture. And so after you've got all the sweetener incorporated, go ahead and add the last dry ingredients, the 2 different kinds of soda, salt, and cinnamon. And now with the clumps gone, it's easier to whisk it all together. Set that aside for a moment. And then the next part is going to be combining the liquid ingredients. So we have our 1 cup, and so you put in 1 cup of the applesauce, hopefully homemade, and you can use either canned applesauce, or if it's applesauce you've frozen, you can use that. Some oil of your choice. I like to use a nice vegetable oil. And then 2 eggs. And if you had frozen the eggs, the way that, and I'm probably going to do a video on freezing things you usually don't think about freezing, but one of those would be freezing eggs. You can either freeze the whites and the yolks separately, or you can freeze them together. But in either case, to have them freeze and remain having a good texture, you want to gently blend them with a little bit of salt or sugar. Now, since these are fresh, we don't need to put in any of the sugar, but it helps the consistency when you defrost them. And then we go ahead and blend all the liquid ingredients together. And when you get those blended, you begin cutting it into the dry ingredients. So as you can see, this is a little bit of a thicker, stiffer batter, but that has a lot to do with the properties of using this much bran, because it's basically half flour, half bran. Reduces the carbs a great deal. You could also do things for the sweetening, like use something like xylitol or sucralose, but putting a little bit of molasses in to give that brown sugar kind of flavor to it. So I like to use these silicone molds because you don't need to use much grease, if any, and then you can just take them and pop the ingredient or pop the product out. You do have to kind of put them onto another tray, because when they're full, they're a little hard to manage. And so we're going to go ahead, and this is a recipe for 12. And I like to use the 2/6 because it makes it a little easier to handle. And we're not filling it closer than to the rim. And the instructions on this recipe very clearly say, let stand for 10 minutes before you bake. And then when you bake them at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. And so I went ahead and prepared some earlier. And so this is what the final product looks like. You can also, there are variations on the recipe, full recipe, which we have a link to. You can incorporate raisins, craisins. You can put on the top some like crushed and slivered almonds. There's lots of different ways you can dress these up and still keep them relatively low carb. Thank you for sharing this time with us. If you'd like more information about the Center for Food Preservation Arts, including more recipes, check out our website at preservedfoods.blogspot.com and follow us on Facebook so you get notifications of upcoming articles, videos, and events. And we hope to see you back here for our next virtual canning party.